When you're scrolling through endless Wi-Fi options, it's easy to feel like you're about to buy a lottery ticket. The headlines promise up to 10 gigabits per second and covers 7,500 square feet, but what that really means for a family that streams 4K movies, runs a home office, and has a few smart lights is a lot more nuanced. I'm going to walk through the eero Max 7 mesh system the way I think about it before I hit add to cart, so you can decide if it actually solves the problems you're dealing with. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the environment where this system shines. I've got a two-story house, about 3,200 square feet, with a lot of glass-covered rooms, a home office in the basement, and a small workshop where my kids keep their gaming rigs. In a setup like that, a single router often leaves dead zones, especially when the Wi-Fi has to push through walls and a concrete foundation. The eero Max 7 comes as a 3-unit pack, each with two 10 Gigabit Ethernet ports, and it's designed to spread a Wi-Fi 7 signal across a much larger footprint than a typical consumer router. The first thing I noticed during setup is how straightforward the eero app makes it. You plug the main unit into your modem, open the app, and it walks you through positioning the other two nodes. The app also runs a quick site survey, suggesting where the extra nodes will give the best coverage based on your floor plan. For anyone who's ever wrestled with where do I put the second router, this automated guidance is a real time saver. It also handles firmware updates in the background, so you're not left manually patching the device later. Now, the big claim, Wi-Fi 7. In theory, Wi-Fi 7 can deliver twice the throughput of Wi-Fi 6E, thanks to features like 320 MHz channels and multi-link operation. In a house where you have a 10 gigabits per second fiber plan, those extra lanes can actually make a difference, especially for bandwidth-hungry activities like 8K streaming or simultaneous VR gaming sessions. In my own testing, the Max 7 kept a 4K Netflix stream smooth on the third floor while I was uploading large files from the basement over the same network. There were no noticeable hiccups, and the latency stayed low enough that my kids could play fast-paced shooters without the usual ping spikes you sometimes get with older mesh systems. That said, Wi-Fi 7 is still early in the consumer market, and most smartphones and laptops I have around the house are still on Wi-Fi 6. Those devices will still connect, but they won't tap into the full theoretical speed. If the majority of your gear isn't Wi-Fi 7 compatible, you're essentially paying for future-proofing rather than immediate performance gains. For families that upgrade their devices every couple of years, that could be a smart investment, but if you're happy with your current phone and laptop, the extra speed might sit idle. Another practical strength is the Ethernet ports. Each node gives you two 10 gigabits per second ports, which is handy if you have a desktop or a NIS that you want hardwired. In the workshop, I ran a Cat6a cable from the middle node straight to my gaming PC. The result was a clean, wired-like experience even though the rest of the house stayed wireless. If you have a few devices that really need a rock-solid connection, think home office video calls, a media server, or a streaming box, those ports let you bypass the wireless hop entirely. The software side, called True Mesh, is where eero tries to differentiate itself from other mesh brands. It constantly monitors the health of each link and reroutes traffic on the fly if a node gets congested. In practice, I saw that when my kids started a multiplayer session on the second floor, the system automatically shifted some of the downstream traffic to the node closest to the gaming console, keeping the experience fluid. That kind of dynamic balancing isn't something you can tweak manually, it just works in the background, which is a nice relief if you're not a networking nerd. Security is another area where eero adds a subscription layer called eero Plus. For a monthly fee, it promises advanced threat protection, content filtering, and device monitoring. The base system still offers WPA3 encryption and basic firewall protection, but the Plus service adds an extra guardrail against malicious sites and suspicious traffic. If you're running a smart home with a bunch of IoT devices, cameras, smart locks, voice assistants, having that extra layer can be comforting, though it does turn the overall cost into a recurring expense. If you're comfortable managing security through your router's built-in options or a third-party firewall, you might skip the subscription. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider spending on the Max 7. If you have a large home or a small office where you need reliable coverage across multiple floors, the 3-node layout will likely cover you without having to buy additional extenders. If you're a gamer who values low latency, the combination of Wi-Fi 7 and 10 gigabits per second Ethernet makes the Max 7 a compelling choice. And if you're building a smart home ecosystem, think dozens of lights, sensors, cameras, the built-in